Hello everyone and welcome. It's Shanna. Now today we're working with Spellbinders Club Kits and I have got, I think I have three of them here that we're going to work with. We have got the Let's Do Brunch Small Die of the Month, and this is just the cutest little set. It has got waffles. You can do waffle with a face or waffle without the face. You've got bacon, you've got a glass for your orange juice, you've got an egg, you could have a mimosa in there, whatever. And it just has all these fun little sets. And of course, they've got all the little arms and the legs. We also have got the embossing folder of the month called Luxe Lattice. And I'm going to pair it with the Luxe Links. And I've worked with this previously on my channel. We're going to do some glimmering. So stay tuned. We're going to do some glimmering and pull our card together. I've got all the materials linked in the description box below for you to check out. And we're going to actually start off with our glimmering so that we can get this machine heated up, get our panel glimmered, and then I can get the glimmer machine off of the desk and we'll have room to do our assembly of our card. So you can see the green light is on and I've got it all heated up, ready to go. I'm just bringing in some of this gold foil from Spellbinders. It's like a sparkle, and you're always going to lay pretty side to pretty side when you do your foiling of this nature. And then if you use a fuse or a lynx for other foiling, it is a little bit differently. Just point that out. But with the glimmer, it's pretty side to pretty side. So I'm going to get this laid down on there, and we'll set the timer, and the timer's flashing. And I've already embossed the panel with the embossing folder of the month. And I'm going to bring in the bow and scallop frame set. I love using my nesting dies for the various cards, and this is one of my favorites. So we're going to use it, and we'll use the scallop piece for our glimmer panel. So our glimmering is done, and we're just going to run it through the Spellbinders Platinum 6 and give it a press. When I do this, I only run it through once. Now, when I better press, I sometimes do twice. But with glimmering, you get some overfoiling, so I don't press more than once with it, and it's not necessary. You can see from the gold foil that it foiled beautifully. We've got a little bit of overfoiling on there, but I'm not going to worry about that. We've got a trick to fix that. So I'm going to take the scalloped frame, which is the outer frame of this nested die set, and we're just going to die cut it out. And so we'll have just a pretty little edge around our card. So we've got that done. And you could save this outer piece and use it for a frame on something else. And I probably will do that. So there's a little bit of overfoiling. So I'm just taking my washi tape and just pressing it against there, rubbing it. And you can see when I roll the tape up, you can see the glimmer on the back of it. So it's just pulling off what's on the paper. And you can kind of run it over the areas where you want it to stay on there, and it doesn't pull it off. I guess when it's pressed, it doesn't pull it off, but what's not pressed, it will pull it off. So it's a really handy trick. So we've got that panel ready, and now we're just going to do the assembly of all of our little bits and pieces. And I will speed this up because you've got all the arms and the legs and the backer pieces and everything. And so it does take me a minute to get them assembled. Now, I did die cut out everything, including this waffle that I'm holding. Now, you can make a waffle that just looks like a waffle that doesn't have a face, because this die set has got a separate die for that. And that would be super fun to do, just a plain old waffle with no face on it. And that could be cute. So I'm going to get all the arms on here and get in position. This waffle is going to go on the inside of my card. So I should have used a different arm for the waffle to hold the cup, but I will manage to stick the cup in there. There is an arm that is kind of bent that you could put the coffee cup in, but it will work in all hands, I guess I should say. Now, I did layer up the circle on that egg, and later in the video, you'll see me tear it off. And this is where I'm putting the coffee cup in his hand, and it did work just well like this. So I'm going to put some glue on the back of the coffee cup and then on the handle of the coffee cup and stick his little hand over it. And I got a little gunk on there for my die cutting machine or something, so I'm just wiping it off. Now I'm going to put the little face on the like the champagne flute. And you could make this champagne, mimosa, or orange juice, whatever you want. And I'm just going to get the little face laid down on there. I laid it a little bit crooked, so I trimmed off the little die. There are dies in here for the cheeks that you can use, so that you don't have to just grab random paper. And so that's the little orange strip that I've got there that I'm laying on the bacon. I decided to go ahead and go with the black on it, and then just press it down. And it's cut to fit the waffle, but you can cut it down to use the for the bacon. There is a smaller size too that probably would work for the bacon, but I had a big one die cut out. I think I die cut out 2 small ones and 2 large ones. And then we've got all the little feet pieces. So Spellbinders has been having this little food series, little people food series. I don't know if you guys caught the pasta series with all the little arms and legs that I did on my channel. I'll try to link that one up to below, or above, so that you can check that out. But we've had all these little food pieces that have had arms and legs that have been super cute. Now I did, I'm going to eventually, I'm putting the bow on here, but eventually I'm going to attach that banner to the piece of bacon's hands. But I'll have to do some adjusting to it. So I guess I'm going to say in this video, you'll see I'll do several adjusting things, like pulling things apart and putting them back together. Now here I haven't put the arms on and I'm moving into this, but I'll remember that. I had some light that was coming in on my desk, so I went and adjusted my curtains so that we didn't have those sunbeams on the desk, and hopefully you can see it better. So I trim this down on the side, and I don't trim it down on the top and the bottom, and I will have to trim it down later. So your card, I guess, your card's not finished until it's finished. You have to make edits and kind of fix things along the way, but it all comes together in the end. So Westy stayed all night last night, and I had the boys 2 days this week, and then Westy stayed all night last night. And so today is Saturday. This will air a different day. I do these things well in advance, and sometimes they get loaded kind of out of order too, and you just never know, what order they're going to land. But anyway, so he stayed all night, and then he got up this morning. He came in after school and hung out, and then he wanted to stay all night. And then this morning he was ready to go. He was flipping on light switches saying, "I'm up, it's time to get up and let's go," and everything. And I said, "Well, are you ready to go home?" And he said, "Yeah." And so his mom came and got him, and he went home. So we did have a fun evening with him. It's kind of nice to have the boys individually so that you can spend some one-on-one time. Now here I'm laying the bacon down, and then once I get everything together, I'm going to realize that my champagne glass or my flute or whatever you want to call it is a little bit too tall for how I've got it positioned. So I will wind up ripping off the banner off his hand and then repositioning it. Now here is a good arm for holding the mug. This would be a good one for that. I didn't use that, but the other arm did work out just as well. And I thought for a minute about putting this. I had another piece of the coffee cup, but it was the back piece and I didn't have the front piece, so I decided not to use it since it was just scrap. And then I want my little champagne glass or my little flute to be hugging the other characters. So I'm going to give the flute the outstretched arms, and they're going to kind of be hugging their friends. And so that's what our plan is. And then for the egg, I'm just going to put 2 hands kind of wrapped around the egg. And it'll be super cute. Now, Pat and I do brunch a lot, so this is kind of a fun card. And I think probably my oldest daughter probably does brunch periodically with her girlfriend. And I thought this might be something that she might like to use because she's constantly coming over and eating thank you cards and different cards and stuff. So this is probably something that she might want to use. So I'm just fooling around looking for arms to go in the right direction. And you can see I've got some extra legs there and different stuff. So I'm going to land on this one, and we'll just get it glued down, and then the flute will be hugging the bacon as well. And we're just going to cluster these all up so that I can get them fit on an A2 size card in portrait fashion. We're just going to get my dust cleaned off so we can get to assembling everything. We'll just push these little characters out of the way. And I did use, I started pulling cards and I was like, does this, or scrap stuff for all the bits and pieces. And I was like, will this match? Is this going to work together? And so then I started looking at the holiday expansion pack from Spellbinders. And there's one with a Christmas tree. I didn't show it on here, but there's one with a Christmas tree scene that pretty much had all of these colors in it. And I thought, oh, I think it's going to work. And it's a Christmas tree that tells your story. And it says, imagine a Christmas tree decorated with ornaments that represent your life, memories, or dreams. What would each ornament symbolize? Would the tree be classic and warm or modern and abstract? And that's what the back of that card says. So anyway, those holiday expansion packs are nice to get some color schemes. I kind of backed into mine because I was using scraps, and then I thought, what am I going to do? And so then I grabbed the expansion pack and I started flipping through them, the pictures of the different, color schemes. And I found that and I thought, oh, it's going to work. And so then, chose my background panels and stuff like that to kind of make that work. And so that's how I kind of came into the color scheme. Sometimes I just wing it. Sometimes I use those color cards. Now, I don't have the color cube set, and I understand she's coming out with a brand new set. So I guess I'm glad I didn't buy it when I was thinking of buying it, because then I would want the newer set. So we'll see if I get it or not, or if I just keep using these little holiday packs from Spellbinders that put the little color schemes together. Anyway, so I've got some thick, wide foam tape here, and I'm just using 3 strips, and it'll give my card base some dimension and kind of help sturdy it up, and we'll get it laid down here on our embossed panel. Now, I didn't realize that I had some hanging over the top, so when I lined this up, luckily I went a little bit low on the bottom, so when I trim the top off, it'll work just fine. Now that little waffle's going to go on the inside of the card, so I'm just going to lay it aside, and I grab some vellum, and I use the stitch die and die cut it out, and we're going to position these little guys on here. And this is where I'm figuring out, oh, that banner is not hanging on there right. And if I'd laid it a little bit differently on the stick, it would have been fine, but it's not. So here I'm going to rip off the egg part, the yolk part, and take that sticky piece off of it that was just too thick. And I'm going to bring in my glue, and I'm just going to glue it straight down on there. And I actually ripped off the piece that covered the cheeks, and so I grabbed another piece and laid it down on there, and then we'll get this stuck back down. It's going to be lined up better, and it doesn't have too much dimension. That foam square that I used, or circle that I used on there, was just too dimensional, and it just looked weird. So I ripped it off and just glued it down. So I've decided that it'll be best to lay the flute down first and then position the rest of them around it. And with the vellum, with all of my little critters or little people or whatever you want to call them, I will be able to put plenty of glue behind there to get this vellum laid down on my glimmered panel there. I should say characters, I guess, or anyway. So we're going to get our little egg laid down there, and then we're going to get our little piece of bacon. And this is like, I don't like that his feet are not kind of in the area where theirs are. So I'm going to go ahead and rip that banner off real carefully. And it did come off fairly easy. I didn't tear with it, so that worked out well. And then we're going to get our bacon laid down on there, and then we'll bring our banner in. Just trying to get some glue on their little feet and hands so that we won't have to worry about them bending. Just give it a little press. Yeah, and I was looking, so now I'm just going to reposition that banner in his hand a little differently so that everything will fit. Put a little glue on his hand so that I make sure I hit spot that the banner is on. And then we'll give that a press, and I think that'll work out a little bit better. Still a little tight. I just should have positioned the banner in a more upward fashion. So this is where I'm going to hide my glue on the vellum. And we'll get it positioned on our panel. I'm standing up so I can look over it and make sure I get it lined up straight. And we'll just give it a good press. Now we're going to add our little waffle to the inside, and then I realize, oh, I've got quite an edge there. So we'll bring in the trimmer, and we're going to trim up a couple spots and get the card more, more even, so you don't have that panel sticking behind there. I got a little bit of white on the front I'm going to trim off. And then that'll clean it up, and we're ready to add our little waffle to the inside. And he's got his little coffee cup. And it's just a cute little set. And I don't know about you, but I love a good brunch. I love a good breakfast too. So I'll get my waffle pushed down on there. Clean up a little bit of glue and some little die cutting hairs. And I've got a little corner popping up there, and I thought, let's bring in some embellishments and we can kind of glue it down. And we'll put our little embellishment over it. And this had 3 different colors of teal, and I thought I could use the darker teal to kind of match our background panel. And I just put a little glue where it was popping up. The other sides looked really good. They weren't popping up. So I'm just going to put a couple of these circle gems up here. And then I noticed that I've got a little heart one. And I think, oh, that'll look cute on there. And so we'll put these 2 up here, and then I just had one of the little hearts. And so I'll just use it, and I'll put it just underneath our banner and above our bacon. If I can get it off of there. I'll just position that. And we've got a cute little card with a lot of sparkle and shine, and we've got some great detail from the embossing. Got a little surprise on the inside. So I hope you like it. If you do, be sure and give us a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, I'd love to have you subscribe. Thank you.